Fantano reacted or reviewed Destroy Lonely's album. I'm gonna just give you a what's it called? A spoiler. He did not like the album. He hates all of the opium rappers. And honestly, I get why he didn't like it, because again, it's just not his type of music. And it was super slow, and we already said that it had 26 tracks, was a little bit too long for what it was. It wasn't as versatile as we wanted it, so it like didn't keep up the pace. And so he's gonna drill into it for sure.
Hi, everyone.
He don't hate Cardi. I mean, that makes more sense, because I feel like Cardi, he's just more respected for revolutionizing music in a way. Whereas I feel like Ken and Lone are still they're still growing. They don't have that mainstream, what's the word? Like, again, respect or accolades where he won't be able to argue against it. Like if Fantano listens to a whole lot of Red and he already saw the perception on the album, he's gonna be like, damn, like everybody else is rapping on these beats because of him. Whereas Destroy Lonely hasn't really been enough time for people to start rapping on those harder rock, like actual rock, chill rock type rap beats.
Everyone, Nathan E. Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of this new Destroy Lonely album, If Looks Could Kill. Destroy Lonely, rapper, singer, songwriter, guy who is signed to Playboi Carti's Opium record label, basically
I feel like knowing that, it almost makes him give them a worse review, because he knows where the sound almost comes from. Although I don't think Destroy Lonely sounds like Carti whatsoever. He's on a totally different lane. But he's almost going to call it... I wonder if he's going to call him a Carti clone.
Roster of artists who fit somewhat snugly into this prevailing genre, rage music, which is this very rough...
Rage, okay. I don't think it had any rage on there, but okay, let's see.
Cycling, repetitive subgenre of trap, which I think is still currently establishing its artistic boundaries at this point. Now, I think creatively there have been some growing pains thus far in this genre. Some highs, yes, but also some lows. Personally, I don't really find a lot of the artists who are in...
And he hasn't reviewed Homicide Gang yet, because I think they're not big enough. Like, as a YouTuber, you know, he's got what, 2.73 million. He's got to review albums that are selling 35K like Lone.
In many ways, Playboi Carti's children here to be as compelling as him artistically in any way, shape, or form. Destroy Lonely is one of those artists, if that was not already made clear by my thoughts on his last full-length LP, No Stylist, which I think is one of my most negative reviews ever. The record was so one-dimensional, was so mind...
I feel like it was more dimensional than this next project, so he's gonna shit on this one. I think he gave that one a light 1.
Numbing, was just like staring into an uneventful void. The production was sloppy, just a mess for track after track after track. And on top of it, Destroy Lonely, vocally and lyrically, doesn't really bring much to the table. No charisma, little to no flow. On occasion, he will hit pockets, but he's really not consistent enough rhythmically from the beginning to the end of a track to make listening to an entire song worthwhile. So, of course,
so he hasn't even gotten into this project yet. Here we go.
I wasn't exactly excited to go into this new project over here, which off the bat I saw was much longer, over 80 minutes this time around, and yeah, it's too damn long. Yeah, Destroy Lonely project has no business being this long.
I think these newer artists should stick to like 16 track albums until they upgrade into being more versatile. Like, it would just keep the projects short and sweet, not even necessarily short, but like it would keep it safe so it didn't get too long. And then once you become a really established artist, and I know it helps sales and that helped Destroy Lonely get 35K, but then they can move on to the 20, 25 track albums. It would just be so much better, bro.
especially since the previous time around he did not show himself to have enough versatility to carry even a project that was under an hour in length. But no, now we have over 20 tracks of pretty much the same mindless drivel. The lyrics, if you're even paying attention to them, just come off like a stream of consciousness nothingness. Even when Destroy Lonely is making a coherent thought, it doesn't really make much sense. Like on the title track where he makes reference to how strategic he is. I mean, if that's the case, why does much of this record sound like a damn mess? Take the opening track, for example. The mix on this beat is garbage. The perks are muddy. The distorted, kind of fuzzy, what sounds like guitar bits are so crunched up and just, I guess, obliterated. Meanwhile, Destroy Lonely himself is...
I feel like that's just his style, but okay.
Vocals are mixed way too aggressively. On top of it, his vocal fry is just killing my eardrums, and it sounds like he's rapping from the other end of a drain pipe or just a very small metal tube. Also,
hold up. We gotta go back.
Of a drain pipe or just a very small...
Hold up.
Metal tube. Also, how is this track 4 minutes? If you hear the first minute of it, you pretty much have heard it. Nothing is honestly added with the following 3 minutes of runtime. I guess what is surprising about this record...
Yeah, a lot of the tracks were very long. He had like 3 verses on some tracks that didn't necessarily need that. Just keep it going after 2 choruses and then move on to the next track.
Third is that it is horrible, but it's never really horrible the same way. There are cuts where, yes, Destroy Lonely's vocals just kind of like obliterate everything else in the mix, and it just sounds like way too up front, way too in my face. I feel like I'm just hearing the inner workings of his throat as he's just kind of creaking his...
Is he saying "lone as the throat goes"
way through these verses? Very awkwardly, I might add, because like
I don't know. Look, this is what I get pissed off. Not necessarily about him, because Fantano actually does know what he's talking about, but the mix for the quality of the music to me isn't necessarily that important. Like it's almost what adds the hot fudge on the sundae. Like, music can sound good with a bad mix. It just takes it to the next level. So to be so honed in on the sound of the mix, to me, doesn't make sense. Like, did the song sound good or sound bad? I don't care where his vocals were, if they were in the front or back. We can decide that later,
Flow is not really all that on point much of the time. However, with some of these beats being as sloppy as they are, I can't really blame him for like not knowing where the 1 is sometimes. So yeah, there's that. There are other cuts where his vocals effectively are buried. There are other cuts whose length is quite torturous because the lack of coherent songwriting ideas, maybe even a memorable or enjoyable hook, makes their length just kind of obnoxious. There's cuts like Came in Wit, for example, where occasionally what will fly up in the mix are these weird ear-piercing tones that like just fucking make me wish I was deaf. That's deaf.
With the guitars. I mean, I already told y'all, I actually like Destroy Lonely on the more trap beats, which he actually did a lot more of than the guitar stuff, because I feel like you can't really do too much guitar or else it starts sounding the same. But then again, the trap beats, a lot of them... Actually, I don't even think it was the beats that sounded the same. It was kind of the same flow over and over on each track.
Definitely the vibe. And I guess that's the thing. Like, a lot of these artists who are kind of Playboi Carti offshoots, all they're really doing...
Here it comes.
Is kind of offering us this music to kind of mindlessly vibe to in a way. However, Destroy Lonely...
I feel like that's his whole lane, though. Like, it's not necessarily about the lyrics or... I don't know. I think Rage and this new lane does push the boundaries a lot. I mean, you already hear more mainstream artists starting to rap on the electronic type beats. But it is just for the vibe. It's not necessarily about the music. It's about the lyrics are all about their lifestyle of getting clothes and fucking bitches. Like, that's what they're doing, Whereas, I don't know. Remember that guy who was on shrooms explaining Yeat's music, and he's like 65 years old, and he was explaining like he's on a fucking beach in New Zealand. Like, That's not what this music is for.
You can't even effectively do that. The instrumentals don't really sound or feel all that good. They are often sloppy, they are often lo-fi in an embarrassing way. Like, there are some very basic technicals that are being ignored on pretty much every track here. Very rarely do the instrumentals on this record feel exciting or enveloping or something that...
I'll give him that. I did like a couple of them. Like Passenger, my favorite song on the album still. But yeah, a lot of the beats weren't like anything crazy. I think the production was really good, but it was not that versatile.
It is maybe slightly mind-altering. Now, these beats, a lot of the time, they are hollow, they are awkward, they are repetitive, they are just gross. I suppose this wouldn't really be a big deal if kind of the trade-off here for a cleaner production or just like a tighter sound overall was that it was visceral or explosive. But this record isn't really that either, because...
No, sir, it is not.
Destroy Lonely.
That's what I'm telling you. If he dropped at least one song like No Stylist, it doesn't even have to be rage or like any type of that sound, but at least bring some more energy. At least in the production, he didn't even have to like be screaming on the vocals. Just give us one song to wake us up at least halfway through the album.
As far as, you know, his attitude goes, a lot of the time on these tracks, he seems kind of out to lunch, disconnected, sort of navel-gazing and off in his own world. So many of the verses on this thing come across like half-hearted auto-tune babble. Now, to be fair, I think there were a few kind of listenable cuts on this one. Chris Paul was one of them. Biggest Problem was another, and I think a lot of that came down to just the flows being a little more consistent than usual and the vocal mix sitting...
Yeah, that was one of the better tracks.
Nice, just being tucked very neatly into the instrumental. But even
Money and Sex was that song. I feel you, but that was literally the last song on the project, and the energy was brought because of Ken Carson. I know like the beat had more energy, but the reason it had more energy was because it was almost like a Ken Carson type beat. You know what I'm saying? At least put that in the middle of the project. That's what I was saying again. He had to put more features on it. If he wants to have a 26-track album, put more features on it so it's more versatile. If it's just you over and over and over, and there are rappers who can successfully rap with the same flow. I mean, DaBaby literally was a meme for rapping the same way on different beats, and he still did kind of rap on the same beat or same bass line, but you can do it, just shorten the albums if you're going to do it. Like Project X, you could say, is kind of one-dimensional in a way because it's very mosh pit, rage, whatever, electronic beats, Starboy and whatnot, but it was only 11 tracks, so it was very, very tolerable. In fact, I think it's his best project thus far for Ken Carson.
Tracks, like in terms of songwriting or assembly, I wouldn't say are profoundly good. They just fail to make a lot of the same mistakes that many other tracks on this record do. Yeah, I'm just racking my brain over the appeal of this, honestly. Like, it's not that chill, it's not that vibey, it doesn't really go all that hard either. It's barely catchy. I suppose you could dance to it.
I think what this album was good for, I didn't think it was a good album for like a straight listen to, because again, I think it's almost impossible to do that without falling asleep or like getting bored and doing something else. It's good for picking your favorite tracks out of the album, which I guess is the way to drop albums. You're not necessarily dropping it as a cohesive album. It's more so like to be listened to thoroughly, multiple takes throughout the week or whenever you want to. It's more so to pick your favorite tracks and put them on your playlist and then be done with like the ones you didn't like.
But there's way better dance music out there, especially in the field of hip hop. It's not really fun, and while I'm sure there are some people in the comments or just people reacting to this video who would say, oh, it's because you're old, you don't get it, da-da-da-da-da. I don't know, I hear music every week that people much younger than me are making that I think is great. And this is just not an example of that. But again, I just don't see what someone like Destroy Lonely is doing to really advance this style or prove that he is one of the best in it. Though, generally speaking, the bar of quality is so low, and maybe he is kind of technically in like the top 3 or 4 artists in this lane right now. So yeah, production standards, low. Songwriting standards, low. A lot of these tracks barely have a hook, and when they do, the hook is awful. Lyrical standards out the window, which I mean, that's pretty much much been a defining characteristic of, you know, a lot of very trendy and mainstream hip hop right now. Obviously, like, you don't have to be bars to be good or to be making compelling music, of course. But with that, your voice and your vocal game should at least be on point to kind of make up for it. And in the case of Destroy Lonely, I can't say that's the case. I find absolutely nothing interesting or unique or stand out about him vocally speaking. As a rapper, his flow is mid at best.
I actually did like the vocal effect he put on it with like the auto tune. I don't even know what it was. Kind of like spacey, but yeah, the same flow over and over. I agree with a lot of Fantano's points. I'm not as much of a hater of it though. Like, I still listen to the project or some songs on the project, but he's not just a complete, like, he actually knows what he's talking about.
Best, and as a singer, he's even worse. Plus, on this record specifically, I find his
it's called reverb. Well, it's more than just reverb, I assure you. There's like auto tune on it. There's a reverb. There's probably some chorus effect on it where it like blends multiple of his voices together to kind of to be more spacey. From my minor experience on Logic Pro.
Vocal fry that I mentioned earlier to be terrible, to really kind of make numerous songs on this thing unlistenable, and I don't remember it being as bad on the last LP. Like, it's almost as bad as it is at some points on, like, you know, Lil Xan's Total Xanarchy. But
whoa! That is a hot take, man. I would not say that. Lil Xan's Xanarchy was probably like a fucking 2, bro. It had like, Lil Xan, I'll give him respect. I'll give him his flowers. He had a couple songs that were all right. You know, I still, you know, if it came on, I'd be like, all right, Lil Xan had one there. But as an actual artist, he was just trash.
Yeah, honestly, this pretty much feels like another helping of what we heard on the last LP. Maybe slightly
I think it was a step down from No Stylist, to be honest.
Improved on a couple tracks here and there, but I feel like you can kind of chalk that up to maybe it just being a fluke of Destroy Lonely trying over and over and over and over to make a song that is like at least halfway listenable. I mean, if you have a guy make over 20 tracks, at least one of them has to like pass, right? And that's cool. That's nice. I'm happy for you, but I shouldn't have to go through 24 songs to hear that. I can't really be impressed by the one song that is okay when you've handed me 20 other cuts that are just
factuals. Give us 11 to 16 tracks, please.
Slop. Feeling a strong 1 to a light 2 on this record. Transition. Have you given
strong 1 to a light 2? So he liked it more than No Stylist, which you gave a light 1. Again, I mean, I think No Stylist is better. I think I gave No Stylist a 9, and then this If Looks Could Kill a 6.5. I think No Stylist was just all around better, man. I still listen to those songs. They're still in my playlist, where I think I only put 1 or 2 tracks from the new album on my playlist. Strong 100. Somebody said in the chat, strong 1 though. That's some disrespect, bro. So they should have said, I think Ken and Lone were asked, "Woke YouTuber." I wonder if they were thinking Fantano. Maybe they were, because I think he rated X like a light 1 as well, or like a straight. Didn't he say 0? Hold up. I think we got that. Let me see. Fantano rating, because the opium people always destroy him. Here it is. Is Fantano speaking facts? No, okay, so X he gave us. Oh, there it is. He gave it a strong 0. God damn. Yeah, that's definitely what Ken Carson was thinking during that Complex interview. Had to be. If No Stylist was a 9, what is Love Is Rage 2? I think Love Is Rage 2 is as close to perfect as you can get. I think it's like a 9.5. I would give Lil Uzi Vert vs. the World a 9.5 as well. I think overall Uzi has the best catalog, or at least he has the strongest albums in his catalog than anybody else. But then again, I am very subjective because I like newer artists. I wasn't around when like Jay-Z was super popular. Lil Wayne was fire. I actually did not. I liked his mixtapes better, where he was remixing a bunch of other popular songs and destroying other people's songs. Like, they were, at that point, they were his songs, not the originals. But like the Carter 1, 2, 3, like it had some songs on there, but a lot of it, I just feel like Lil Wayne was a better mixtape artist. Well, there you have it. Fantano, absolutely hating another new artist's album. No hate. It was kind of expected. I'm not going to lie. It happens.